We're ready? We're at 95.
No.
All right, welcome everybody. We're going to study tonight the sign of Gemini. Gemini. Gemini is the first air sign that we're going to study in Kabbalistic astrology. The very first question we have to ask ourselves is, the sign of Gemini, each sign has its own symbol, has a logo. What is the logo? What is the symbol of Gemini?
Two people.
The twins, right? The twins. Why twins?
Two personalities.
Right, twins have two personalities, but any two different people have two personalities, right? They could have put two different persons. Why twins? What's the characteristic of the twins? The twins, when you look at the twins, they look the same externally, right? But are all the twins the same? No. So it immediately tells you that when you look at the Gemini, they always look the same. A Gemini doesn't go, when you look at the face of a Gemini, you can't really tell if they're upset, they're happy. It's so hard to tell the age of a Gemini. But there is more to it, and we understand why. The planet that rules Gemini is Mercury, the planet of Mercury. In Hebrew, it's called Kochav. Kochav. Kochav in Hebrew means the planet. Abraham Avinu in the book of formation in Sefer Yetzirah 4,500 years ago named the planet Mercury Kochav, that planet, as if there is, that's the planet and the rest of the planets are not the planet. So why Abraham named the planet Kochav? There is a secret to it. Kochav is Kaf Vav, Kaf Bet. And we understand why this name was chosen by Abraham for this planet. And I need to tell you that Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. In our solar system, we have 10 planets, 10 major planets, which we learned 7 of these planets rule the 12 sign of zodiac. And of all these planets, Mercury is the closest to the planet Sun. So what? What's the significance of being close to the Sun?
Warm.
It feels the Sun faster than rest of the planets. It sees the Sun faster, sooner than the rest of the planet. And we know that all the planets in our galaxy, they all go around the Sun. So the fact that Mercury is the closest to the planet Sun means it takes Mercury the least amount of time to go around the Sun. Planet Earth takes about 365 days to go around the Sun. Mercury, it only takes sometimes 28 days. Between 28 days to 42 days, it varies. We know that the planets come close to Sun, then they go, and they come back again close to Sun, and they go. It's not a perfect circle. It's sort of oval. They run. They go around like an oval. They all come close to Sun. They get some distance. They come back to close to Sun. But Mercury is the closest. Is the fastest compared to rest of the planet in our solar system. Mercury is the fastest planet. Usually most of the signs, most of the months, Hebrew months, they have some form of Mo'adim, some form of holidays in them. In Aries we had Passover. In Taurus we had the Lag BaOmer. In Gemini we have Shavuot. Shavuot. You know what Shavuot is?
The trees.
Shavuot is the night. No, that's
Tisha.
That's Shavuot is the night that the revelation of the light force happened. The 6th of Sivan, right after when the Israelites left Egypt, 49 days after they left Egypt, they came to the bottom of the Mount Sinai. And God tells everybody to be prepared that He's going to show up that night on the top of the Mount Sinai. And it happened. It says in the Torah that all the souls of the Bnei Israel, all the souls that they were at that time, and they talk about this, and they say that all the souls that they were at that time, that they were even before that time, and the souls that would come later on, that means all of us, we all witnessed the revelation of the light force. What happened was we all stayed at the bottom of the Mount Sinai. Moses went at the top of the Mount Sinai, and the glory of God, the light force of God came on the top of the Mount Sinai and pronounced the 10 commandments, the 10 utterances. And Moses stayed 40 nights on the top of the Mount Sinai, and he came down with the 2 tablets that had the 10 commandments. And they say that that night was the revelation of the light force, was the revelation of the wisdom of Torah. And it's one of the most important nights in Jewish calendar. And if you know or not, we stay up all night on Shavuot, and we study all night. We don't sleep until morning. Shavuot is a big deal. It's a big deal. The power of the Shavuot is the Kabbalists guarantee that whoever stays up all night on Shavuot and study spirituality, study Torah, they are guaranteed 1 year of life. It's the only real life insurance that you can get. So it's a very, very powerful. They say that it passed. It was the 6th of Sivan.
What do you mean they're guaranteed 1 year of life? So if you
It was
do
about-
it every year, wouldn't you stay
So
alive for
every year, if you stay up all night, they guarantee that you will not die. They guarantee that you will not die. And the idea comes that the light that emanates that night, it's a very good question. The light that manifests itself in the world of physicality, it's a light that they call it in Hebrew, Bila Hamavet Vanetzach, which means the death is removed. The power of light takes over so much, and the death is removed. So whoever stays up that night, all night, without blinking not blinking, falling to sleep for a second, receives the enormous energy of life, and unless we do something truly stupid, nothing will happen to us. Nothing will happen to us. Anyway, we see that this revelation of light force, this amazing power of light force, happens in the 6th of Sivan, in the month of Gemini. Why? Why God chose 6th of Sivan, the month of Gemini, to show his power, shows his light? What is so significant about Gemini? Why this doesn't happen in the month of Capricorn? Why it doesn't happen in the month of Scorpio? Why it happens in Gemini? What's the purpose? What power Gemini has that draws such an energy? I need to tell you that Gemini is a positive month. Sivan is a positive month. We have 3 negative months in the Hebrew calendar. The month that we just walked in, Tammuz, considered to be a negative month. Leo is considered to be a negative month. And Capricorn considers to be a negative month. 3 negative months. The rest of the months are all positive. And Gemini is one of the most positive month of the Hebrew calendar. As I explained to you, the Hebrew letters, the 22 Hebrew letters, are the DNA force of creation. When God wanted to create everything that we see in the world of physicality, he used the letters. He used the Hebrew letters, which contains power, which contains consciousness. And with the power of the Hebrew letter, he created all the physicality that we see. Just like human being, now they know that it contains 4 amino acids that we call it DNA, ATCG, right? There are 4 amino acids that scientists believe that makes your physical being, the ATCG. The Kabbalists believe that 22 Hebrew alphabet are the 22 DNA force that created everything, all the physicality, human being, animals, birds, vegetation, inanimate, everything that you see are being created by the power of this 22 Hebrew alphabet, or the 22 DNA force of creation. Now, what letter created the planet of Mercury? Letter Resh. Resh created planet of Mercury. And what letter created the constellation of Gemini? Letter Zain. Resh and Zain are the two letters that they created the planet of Mercury and the constellation of Gemini. The reason I say that is because when we recite the Anabekoach, each verses correspond to these 7 planets, and the Kabbalists meditate on these letters to have access or to have control over each month. If you know who's the creator of each energy is, then you can control it, then you know what's going on. So Resh and Zain, which together becomes Raz. Raz in Hebrew and Farsi means secret. So these two together, this combination of DNA force of Resh and Zain, is telling us there is something very unique about Gemini. There is a secret in the month of Gemini. We're good, Rebecca?
Yeah,
So
we're
far
good.
so good? Good. Now, we know that the inner energy of the Gemini is air, and the outer energy is air. We said the external energy, the outer energy is what each sign represents. Gemini is an air sign. Their inner energy, their internal energy is air as well. How do we do that? You remember how we calculate the inner energy of each sign? Each season has 3 months. The first month of each season is on the right column of the 10 Sefirot, and the right column is water. That's why Aries, the inner energy of the Aries is water. Even though Aries is a fire sign, external energy of the Aries is fire, their inner energy is water. That's why Aries is so giving, it's so sharing. They want to give, they want to share. Taurus, which is the second month of spring, it sits on the left column energy, which is fire. That's why Taurus has the energy of fire inside. They are earth outside, they have the fire inside. Now, Gemini is the third one. Their exterior energy is Aries, and because they're the third one, they're in the central column, and the central column is air. So Gemini is air inside and air outside. Tonight we'll totally understand the power of the air sign. We know there are 3 air signs, 3 different months that they consider to be as air, but Gemini is the ultimate air sign. Inside is air and outside is air. Okay, let's have some fun now. Let's get into the characteristic of people who are born under the influence of Gemini. Geminis, they have beautiful eyes. They have beautiful eyes. If you look at the Gemini, they do own a beautiful eyes.
Do you have any Geminis here?
My wife is a Gemini.
Aren't you Gemini? Yeah.
So, but you know, one thing I want to explain is when we go through these characteristics, and they are fun, and we get to know each sign. But there is a reason behind everything that I mentioned tonight. There is a reason behind why Gemini has beautiful eyes. Why Gemini has a beautiful eyes and Scorpio has a crooked eyes. There is a reason behind it. They have a quick look, quick move. When you look at a Gemini, their eyes is moving. They have a quick move. Their eyes is moving all the time. They're watching everything. If I'm only watching at my notebook, a Gemini is watching everything in the room. They are aware of everything that is happening in the room. They're very, very quick to understand what's going on. They're very, very observant. Sometimes they look nervous because they're moving all the time. The head is moving, the eye is moving, their mind is moving all the time. So it seems that they are nervous, but they're not nervous. They're at work. Gemini is working. Another physical characteristic of a Gemini is a high forehead. They have a high forehead. It says in the Zohar that whoever has a high forehead, it's in Farsi, in Persian culture, they say good luck, but in Kabbalistically it says it's a sign of wisdom. It's the sign of wisdom. Whoever has a high forehead, that represents being wise. The way that Gemini stand, they stand very straight. Gemini barely bends. They stand straight. They don't like to bend. They're very versatile, and they respond easily to everything. Easily everything. They're very aware of everything. They're very cautious of everything. When they talk, when a Gemini talks, they can talk about one thing and immediately they can go to a different subject and a different subject and a different subject. They can move from topics to topic with no problem. You talk to a Gemini and you're getting more talk about something else and they move on to that thing. They don't stay in that position. They can be anywhere at the same time. Their mind can be 100 places at the same time. They are never in one place. Gemini is never in one place. It seems like the Gemini needs a stimulation of mind, stimulation of their wisdom. They have answer for everything. Gemini knows everything. They know a little bit of everything. The thing is, they do know everything, but their knowing is kind of superficial. It's not deep. They know a little bit of geography, a little bit of history, a little bit of biology, a little bit of politics, a little bit of everything. They know a little bit of everything. Gemini wants to know, they seek knowledge, they seek wisdom, and they want to learn everything. But they don't dwell deeply in things. A little bit they know and they get bored and they move on. All right, you know, I know, let's go on. What's next? What's the next topic? They like to talk. They love to talk. They love to have conversation. They love to talk about everything, every subject. Sometimes Gemini argues. Gemini argues. We learn that Aries argue too. Why does Aries argue for?
To win.
They argue to win, to cross their point, right? Why Gemini likes to argue? For the sake of argument. They love to talk. They love to argue. Sometimes they argue on something they may not even believe it themselves. But they do argue because they want to keep the conversation going. It's what they are. They cannot focus on one thing at one time. They constantly think about so many things. When they're doing paperwork, they're thinking about tomorrow, yesterday, what am I going to do tomorrow, what am I going to do tonight, what am I going to go next week. Everything is happening at the same time. Their mind is everywhere. It's not just one thing. It's very difficult, when you talk to a Gemini, it's very difficult to totally get their concentration on one thing. They may be watching a movie, but they're thinking about the dinner, they're talking about what tomorrow is going to be. Their mind is everywhere. Everywhere.
Why?
We'll understand why. And what's so interesting about Gemini is that they do adjust to different situations. They're very comfortable in every situation that you put a Gemini, as long as it's not confined, they're very comfortable with it. When you confine a Gemini, when you put them in a room, a dark room, closed door, no window, that's not for a Gemini. Gemini loves to be outside. They love air. They love sun. They need to be outside. They love to walk in the sun. They love to walk in the nature. And one thing about Gemini is spirituality comes very, very easy to Gemini. Of all the signs that we're going to study, spirituality comes very, very, it's very natural for a Gemini to concept of spirituality, the concept of energy and angels and power of mind. Everything is what Gemini is all about. They understand the spirituality of Torah. They understand, they love Kabbalah. Everything that has to do, especially with science and spirituality, it's very interesting to them. They're very friendly. Geminis are very friendly. They're usually loved by the other people. Everybody loves a Gemini. They're very friendly. They're great communicators. Great communicators. It's so interesting. Gemini agrees with everything. Agrees with everything. Everything that makes sense, Gemini is comfortable with it. If Gemini is watching a debate between Republican and Democrats, when a Gemini listens to the Democrat, she says, of course. Then Republicans' argument, that's right too. Everything that makes sense, it comes natural to Gemini. They understand everything. They adjust and they adapt to all kind of mind game and philosophy and science, politics. They get really easily influenced by people. They talk to somebody and they get influenced by people's idea, mind. They can see every point. They can see every point. And this is very funny. I said that Gemini loves to be loved. They love to be loved. They're friendly with everybody. And they do love other people. But for a Gemini to have one love, what's the big deal just being in love with one person? A Gemini can love so many people. I'm not talking about passion. I'm not talking about sexuality. I'm talking about loving different people with a Gemini could have different lovers. They say a Gemini man is like a sailor who has a lover at every port. Lucky guy. They love to investigate things, concepts, science. They love to know everything about everything, a little bit of everything. They want to know. They seem to be very, very curious. When they see somebody, they want to know who this person is, what does he do, what's going on. When they go to a city, they want to know everything about that city. When a situation happens, they want to know. They seem to be very, very curious. We have a phrase in Farsi for curiosity, which doesn't quite the same as far as the curiosity that we're talking about. In Farsi we have fuzul. You know what fuzul is? Someone who wants to know something because they have a dark intention behind it. Not Gemini. When Gemini wants to know about you or somebody else, they don't mean anything bad about it. They just want to know. It's for their own knowing. Not that they want to do something wrong with it or negative with it or they have a bad intention about knowing things. They just need to know. They're just curious to know who you are, what you do, what's going on with this, what's going on with that, what's going on with everything in life. They're very interested. They are very interested in everything. They're more of an investigator than someone who's curious. They love, like I said, they love knowledge. They love to study. The best way for a Gemini to study is through audio and video. They love books because book contains wisdom. Book contains knowledge. But when it comes to reading book, they read the first page, they read in the middle, they definitely read the last page, they want to know what's going on, and that's it. They know it all. Pretty much. What's the big deal? I don't need to read the whole thing. I know what's going on. When you start telling something to a Gemini, you haven't finished, and they know what you're talking about. All right, I know it already. They're so quick, they're so smart, they're so brilliant as far as being ahead of you so fast, they grasp what you want to say. You don't have to tell them a huge story. A short, quick story, and they get it. Gemini has a very, very sweet, cute sense of humor. They make great teachers. They make great salespeople. Salespeople. About the Gemini, they say the Geminis are the salespeople who sell ice to the Eskimos. You know, they can pursue you. They can totally influence you of what you need to do and what you need to buy. They're always surrounded by people. Gemini has always people around them. And they talk a lot, like I said. They make decisions very quickly. Making decision for Gemini is in a split second. Not that they are reactive, because they see things very quickly, they recognize things very quickly, they make decisions very quickly. If you remember when we learned about Tauruses, we said Tauruses, they don't make decisions very quickly. You tell something to Taurus, give me a few days, let me think about it. Let me put the two and two together. Let me see, give me time, let me think about it. Taurus doesn't need to think about it. Gemini doesn't need to think about it. Gemini wants to make a decision, here it is, that's what it is. We're doing this. You tell a Taurus, let's go to Europe tomorrow. He goes, tomorrow? No. Give me a few days. I have to pack my bag. I have to plan my vacation. I need to know where we're going to go, which hotel we're staying. You tell a Gemini, let's go to Europe. They are ready. They love airport. They love to fly. They love to fly. Anything is possible. Gemini loves to fly. Like they love airplane. They love flying. Jet lag doesn't mean a thing to them. What do you call it? Turbulence doesn't bother a Gemini. They enjoy it. They love it. Fly, helicopter, airplane. I think most of the astronauts are Geminis. They love the space. They love the sky. They love to be outside. It's obvious, isn't it? Air and air. Air can be everywhere. Air is very, very cool. Air can be. They're in this. They're in the cosmos. They're in this. They're in the skies. They're everywhere. They love to be everywhere. You cannot contain a Gemini because you cannot contain air. Air needs a space. Gemini needs a space. You know, they say the best criminals are Geminis. Why? They outsmart the police. They outsmart everybody. They think fast. They make decisions. They come up with ideas faster than anybody else. They can beat everybody. When it comes to mind game, they can beat everybody. But they are very honest. If they become criminal, it's because of the excitement of beating the system, being fast and all that. It's not that they have a shrewd heart. We get to what signs have shrewd hearts, but not Geminis. Geminis are very honest, very sweet, very sweet. Actually, their honesty is extreme. They are too honest. They are too honest. Whatever they feel is out there. They speak their heart. They are not a good politician. They don't hide things. They don't bend things around. They're a straight shooter. They'll tell you what it is. Once again, every character that we are mentioning has a significant reason behind it, has a secret behind it. Do Geminis lie? Do they lie?
No, they just don't tell the whole truth.
They say, as they say white lies. White lies. Why do they say the white lies? what's the reason for a Gemini to say something that is not true?
To make his point.
They don't want you to feel bad. Because their honesty, there is extreme honesty that is within them, they don't tell you the truth because you may get hurt. If you're an overweight, you don't hear it from a Gemini. If you need to change something, Gemini is not the one who tells you what you need to change, because they don't want you to get hurt, or you don't like them. So they may even tell you the lies. Oh, you're absolutely perfect, and you may not be perfect. Geminis can learn different languages very, very easily too. It becomes very easy to them to learn different languages, different cultures. They want to see, when a Gemini travels, they want to travel everywhere. They want to learn all languages. They want to see all kind of people, cultures. And they express their thought very easily. They speak their mind. They do judge people very quickly, though, because they're very quick to notice, quick to realize. That comes with the judgment. They judge people very quickly. They love new things, new adventure, new excitement. Gemini loves to travel all the time. They love to go to parties all the time. They love to go enjoy entertainment all the time. And if you invite a Gemini to your house for a party, don't be boring. Don't be boring. Have some form of entertainment. Make sure you have something that stimulates their mind. You have to entertain the Gemini. A Taurus, you could invite a Taurus, sit at the corner, have a glass of wine. They love you. They may stay over. Not a Gemini. Gemini needs stimulation, mind stimulation, consciousness stimulation. They like to get entertained. When you ask a Gemini where you want to go, he wants to go somewhere there is entertainment, there is music, there is excitement, there is happening. Peace, quiet room, chilling is not for Gemini. It's good for Taurus, but not for a Gemini. They do learn from everyone. They learn characters, good things, bad things from everyone. They see, they adjust, they adapt to people. Like I said, it's very difficult to guess the age of a Gemini. It's very difficult. I mean, you may look at somebody and say, you're 40, and they might be 42, 43, or 39, 38. But Gemini, believe me, you could be 10 to 15 years far from what age they are. Why? Why? Something about Gemini which is very, very important is they don't like a permanent schedule. Don't ask a Gemini to be at work every day at 8 o'clock, to do the same thing over and over again, the same routine. They don't like that. They're not comfortable with that. They're not happy with that. Gemini needs to be open. They need to have their own schedule. They do things on their own. They're very, very sharp-minded. They're very, very sharp. And they pick up different challenges all the time. They want to do things constantly, different ideas, different projects. And they start different projects all the time because they need that excitement. They need that the new project feeling, doing something new, doing something different. But they may not finish it. They may not finish it. Most of the time, they don't finish it. They start a lot of projects and they don't finish it. Gemini doesn't need to sleep a lot. Gemini likes to be busy with mind, busy doing things positively, being active, being creative, being important, doing things. If a Gemini sleeps, that Gemini is not happy. If the Gemini sleeps more than normal, that Gemini is not happy. They don't like to waste time. They appreciate time. They appreciate challenges. They appreciate being out there. They want to be out there. And when they get ordered to do things that it's not so spiritual lifting or mind stimulating, or it's not something that stimulates their knowledge, their mind, they get frustrated, they get tired. You cannot ask a Gemini to do something very simple all the time. They're better than that. They're far better than doing something simple which only requires an easy labor job. Gemini is happy when they're doing something amazing. When something that has to do with knowledge. I said this, I think, that they need air and sun. They need to be outside. You cannot confine them in a small place, in a dark place. Some Geminis have difficulty to stay in one relationship. If that relationship becomes a boring relationship, if their relationship doesn't make them grow, doesn't make them happy, doesn't make them stimulate their mind, their consciousness, they walk away from it. When a Gemini becomes spiritual, which they easily can become spiritual, they become more psychic. They become more psychic. They get the intuition, they get the power, they receive intelligence beyond the physical world. You know, a Gemini always knows what you want to say. The moment you open your mouth, you start talking about the subject, Gemini already knows where you're coming from, where you're going with it. Okay. Let's talk about the reason behind all these characteristics. Let's find out where all these energies, where all these characteristics coming from. And let's find out the tikkun, the correction of a Gemini. We said they are influenced by Mercury, the planet, the fastest planet. The fastest planet. The fact that the Mercury is the fastest planet in our solar system makes Gemini as fast as they are. They are fast thinkers. They move fast. They do things very quickly. If it takes a Scorpio to boil up water 5 minutes, Gemini already has the boiling water for you before you even think about it. Why? Because of the planet Mercury. Planet Mercury is fast. We said planet Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. What happens? What happens to the planet Mercury because they are the closest planet to the sun?
They get too hot.
All right. I have to explain that sun is the physical manifestation of the light force. Just as the light force gives us everything that we want, the light gives us blessing, power, the power to live. We know that if the sun doesn't shine 48 hours, things can start dying. So we need sun, and sun nourishes the planet, all the planets, not just the Earth, all the planet in our solar system. So in Kabbalah, in Kabbalistic astrology, sun is not just the planet that is hot and it's bright. It's the planet that represents what we call the Ze'erampin, the 6 Sefirot above Malchut. It's the source of nourishment, it's the source of wisdom, it's the source of blessing. Sun is the light. Sun is the light. In our physical world, sun represents itself the light force. We need sun. Everybody needs sun. Nourishes everything in the physical matter. And Mercury is the closest to sun. So they receive everything firsthand. They get everything from the sun firsthand. All the wisdom, all the nourishment, all the power, all the blessing. They get it all. They get it all. On one hand, they are closest, and they are seeing, they go around the sun very quickly, they see everything, they receive everything, and then they look at the rest of the planets that they are far from it, and they see all these planets that they are far from it, so they see two things. One, the power of light. Then they see all these vessels, all these planets, that they have the desire that they are going around the sun as well, because they need the sun. I'm going to teach you something very Kabbalistically, and it's very, very important if you understand it, and hopefully I can explain it properly. You totally get what the tikkun is and what the correction of the Gemini is. You know, Abraham Avinu, when he said Resh created, the letter Resh created the Mercury, and letter Zayin created the Gemini, the Roz, the secret, is the secret of the month of Gemini. What is the secret of the month of Gemini? Why Gemini contained the energy that had the revelation of the Mount Sinai? What was so special about it? Why the revelation of the Mount Sinai didn't happen in any other month, but it happened on Sivan in Gemini? What was going on? And then when Abraham Avinu says the name of Kochav, the name of Mercury is Kochav, and Kochav is 4 letters of Kaf, Vav, Kaf, Bet. And if we separate the two, Kaf, Vav, Kaf, the numerical value of the letter Kaf is 20. The numerical of the letter Vav is 6. 20 and 6 become 26. This very famous numerical value that we Jews use all the time. What is 26? Is the numerical value of the 4 letter of Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So within Kochav, within the DNA force of Kochav, Mercury is the ultimate light force, the 26. You get it? So far so good? So Kochav, Mercury, the planet, when Abraham says this is the planet, this is the only planet that contains the 26. Kaf Vav is 26, the totality of the light force. The last 2 letters is Kaf Bet, 22. What is 22? The 22 Hebrew letters. The 22 DNA force that created everything. What we call the vessel, the physicality, the desire. So Kochav, Mercury, has both the power of giving and the power of receiving. It's the power of the light force and the power of the physical world. The vessel and the light. It has both. It has everything. So what? We know Mercury rules also Virgo. Mercury rules 2 signs, the Gemini and the Virgo. So why the revelation of the Mount Sinai didn't happen in Virgo? Why it happened in Mercury? Why it happened in Gemini? We said the Gemini has the inner energy of air and the external energy of air. Perfect, right? Ultimate spirituality, ultimate openness. Virgo The internal energy of the Virgo is air. The external energy of the Virgo is earth. They are the earth sign. The revelation of the light force could not happen with the earth sign because earth is rigid. It stays in one place. It doesn't manifest all over the world. So it had to happen in Gemini. So Kohav, which represents the 26, which is the light force of God, and the 22, the DNA force of the creation, it contains everything. That's why Gemini is so wise. That's why Gemini already knows what you want to say. They are everywhere because they are fast, they receive the light, they got it all. They got it all. They see the sun, they're fast, they get it, they're everywhere. What's the problem? So what's the problem? What is their tikkun then? They're too fast. When they sit with you, they have no patience for you. No patience for you. They have no patience for themselves. They're not happy with you, they're not happy with themselves. They need to be on the move all the time. They don't have the patience to finish their project. They don't have the patience to totally understand the sun. They're all about logic, right? Air and air is all logic. They have no water. They lack feelings. They lack compassion. You talk to a Gemini, as far as logic concerned, they get it. They read you. They know what's wrong. But do they have the shoulder for you to cry on? No. Do they have the patience to offer their shoulder? No. Do they understand your feeling? No. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you sad? You made a mistake. Go on. They're tough teachers. They're even tough on themselves. So you get the tikkun of the Gemini? They're brilliant. They're fast. They see the light. They see the light. And they wonder why all these planets are going so slowly. Come. Don't you see me? I'm going fast. Why can't you be as fast as I am? And poor Saturn, with his body, with the coldness around it, is looking at the Gemini and goes, what are you doing? There's no way I can reach you. And Gemini has no patience for Saturn. Saturn is the last planet in our solar system. And what sign planet rules? Capricorn, Earth sign. Oh, Gemini cannot stand someone who's too slow. Someone who doesn't get it. And that's the tikkun. And that's the tikkun. So, they don't have the water. They cannot be emotional. They cannot be. They don't have it. How could they help themselves? If they need to bring balance in their mind, to bring in their life, what can they do? Spirituality. Spirituality is the only thing will bring peace into Gemini for itself and the Gemini people around Gemini. When they truly connect to their inner sense, to the power of Shavuot, to the power of the light force, when they realize that the only way to become like the light is to act like the light. You get it? The only way to have light in your life is to act like the light. And light has compassion. Light has patience. Light has patience. Gemini needs to learn to work on themselves, to have patience, If Gemini learns that, I'm talking to somebody, I better sit quiet and tell them, let's see what they have to say. I better have patience to read the whole book. I better have patience to complete my project. I better have patience to be there for the people that I need to be there. I need to bite the bullet. I need to bite that DNA bullet in me that wants me to go, not to have patience, to be quick judgment. I cannot judge people so quickly. There is so much in people, inside of them. And I cannot judge people so quickly. And the only way that Gemini, again, I'm repeating it because it's very, very important. When a Gemini becomes spiritual, Gemini is happy, is content, has fulfillment. Because they see the light, they feel the light. And when they start acting like the light, then they are the best. They are the best. Their salvation is spirituality. Spirituality. Any question?
I don't question about that. I don't know, I'm kind of fixated on the whole age thing. Like, how can you tell, like, because when I go out, people are always like, when I tell them my age, they're like, no,
Right.
you look like you're younger than that. So
Right.
I'm kind of stuck on that
Right.
whole age thing.
How come you cannot tell how come you cannot tell the age of a Gemini?